my roommate Luke gave me that record table for my record player. So I'm gonna redo it, sand it down, maybe polyurethane it, and make it look better. So I'm not 100% sure that it's actually a record player table, but it definitely looks like it. My record player fits perfectly up here, and the records can sit perfectly down there, and everything fits nicely. So obviously you can see the problems. There's a little bit of paint. Just doesn't look very pretty, and it'd be really cool to make it look nice again. So this episode of Sunday Scaries, episode number 2, will be a refurbish episode. I'm going to be refurbishing this table, making it look nice again, and I hope you guys enjoy. The only sandpaper I have here at the house is this 180 grit and 120 grit. And then I also have this block sander, which is 220 on the top and 320 on the bottom, but it's pretty used, so it might not do much, but this will be the finishing grit that I'll use on it. We're gonna need a lower grit. I'm gonna need a rougher grit to get all the old stuff off, especially this part. It's obviously painted. That's gonna take a lot. Quick run to the store for some new sandpaper. We'll do the trick. These should definitely do the trick. Went with the lower grit, and that'll get through all this crud that's on it. So starting with the roughest grit on the top and the sides is actually very satisfying because of how much was layered up on there. It's a really old table, hasn't really been taken care of a whole lot, and it's definitely the first time it's been redone. So the sides and the top are really satisfying, but then later it got to be quite a bit of work on the bottom half. So I've finished the top with the rough grit sandpaper, the 80 grit. And if you can see, yeah, you can see in this light here, there's those spots there. Not sure what that is. I think I might keep on sanding because it might be like a coating that hasn't come off, so I'm gonna see if it makes a difference to sand down a little bit more. If it doesn't, then it might just look really cool when I polyurethane it. But you can see there's some damage there and some marks there, so I'm gonna keep sanding a little bit more. But the edges, the sides look good, and the next step is to move on to the bottom, the base there. But I'm actually about to go give blood, so after that, I'm gonna come back and keep on sanding it down. And if not, I'll pick it back up the next day. I'm gonna finish sanding today and maybe even get to the polyurethane. So moving on to day 2 of sanding, I did this outside to enjoy the sun, and this literally took basically all day of just 80 grit sanding off all of the original finish. It was also pretty hard to get right up to the edges, so that took a while, and by the end of this my back was hurting because of all the bending over trying to sand it all down. So again, I decided to not do the inside just because it would have been really difficult to get to. I was mainly just looking to restore the outside of it, make it look nicer, and less of redoing the entire thing. So it was not originally made to be a record player table. I found a little piece of paper on the inside of the table that said it's actually a teletypewriter table. So I think it was just a phone table for a telephone. It said something about AT&T on the paper, so maybe it was made for AT&T. But that's pretty cool. And now it's gonna be used for a record player table. Okay, so the rough sanding is officially done. And I tried to keep sanding this down and see if it would get better, but it kind of just kept getting worse. And there's some holes in it that kept showing up. So there's the result after rough sanding everything with 80 grit. I didn't do the inside. I think that would be too much work, and you can't really see it because it's shaded. So now it's time to move on to the 120 grit and then 180 grit to get it ready for the polyurethane. But if we compare it to what it looked like before in the garage, it looks really good. All of the other sanding, the 120, the 160, the 220 and 320 grit went really quickly because all you have to do is go over what you already done. You're not trying to get any of the coating or the paint off anymore, you're just trying to smooth it down. We got the goods. Got the polyurethane. You might be saying, that's not a lot of polyurethane. Well, it's gonna have to work because it's all I got. And I think it'll be fine. It's just a little table. And also got some wood putty for after this, I can fill in the holes that were revealed after I started sanding. So I'm gonna do the method where you use a rag to put it on. Now that might be more for a thicker, like a paste stain, but we're gonna try it with this because I don't have a brush. And it's gonna work. So first coat, let's go. This part didn't take too long. It's a pretty small table, so getting all of the sanded bits with the polyurethane wasn't a huge project. So it was maybe 20 minutes of polyurethane, maybe even less. So the top and the front legs are done. This side is not done, and so you can see the difference there. First coat is done. Now after 3 hours, I'll apply a second coat. And then after 24 hours, it'll be ready to use. Luke, what do you think?
Looks great.
There you have it. And then once it was finished, it looks really nice, really clean. The sides and the legs look really good, and the side of the top looks good. But then when you look at the top, you can see that the imperfections are still there. I couldn't get those sanded out. Those are really deep. So maybe eventually I'll paint the top and maybe redo the top, but the legs and the sides look really good and I'm really happy with them. So now bringing it back in and putting the record player on top to get the final look. And ultimately, I'm really happy with how it turned out. So before I started this, the table was pretty gross. It was scratched up. The paint was not very good. There's paint splatters on the top. Since Luke gave me the table, I figured I should redo it and make it look nice. So that's what I did. And I'm really happy with how it turned out. So thank you for watching episode 2 of Sunday Scaries. Hope you guys enjoy the week, and I'll see you in the next one.